Welcome, my amazing friends. Today, I will tell you a story that is not just powerful, it's life-changing. This is not just the story of a Hollywood actor. This is the story of a boy who was too shy to speak, a young man who felt pain too deeply, a soul who gave the world one of the greatest performances in cinema history, and died before he could see the applause. His name was Heath Ledger. You know him as the Joker from The Dark Knight. But very few people know the full truth behind the makeup, the smile, and the mystery. This story will break your heart and teach you how to rise again. Because inside Heath's story, there is something for all of us. You'll learn what it means to follow your dream, even when no one believes in you. You'll see the truth about fame, love, pain, and pressure. And most importantly, you'll improve your English while listening to something unforgettable. As you listen to his real story, you'll also improve your English through emotion, real-life vocabulary, and simple storytelling. This is not just a story. This is an experience. So sit back, open your heart, and let's begin. Part 1. The beginning of a beautiful tragedy. Heath Andrew Ledger was born on April 4th, 1979, in Perth, Western Australia. He came from a middle-class family. His father, Kim Ledger, worked as a mining engineer and race car driver. His mother, Sally Ledger, was a French teacher. Heath had one older sister named Kate. She was more than a sister. She was his hero, his protector, and later, the one who would introduce him to acting. As a child, Heath was different. He wasn't loud, he wasn't wild, he was gentle, quiet, deep. From the beginning, people said he was too emotional. He felt everything intensely: happiness, sadness, pain, love. And in a world that often tells boys to be strong, Heath didn't know how to hide his feelings. He didn't want to. At just 10 years old, Heath's world changed. His parents divorced. And for a sensitive boy, it was like the earth cracked open. Heath once said, "It affected me deeply. I stopped trusting people, but it made me grow faster." Heath started spending more time alone. He would write, draw, dance, play chess. And one day he joined a school play, Peter Pan. It was small. But for Heath, it was magic. On that tiny stage, he didn't feel broken. He didn't feel confused. He felt free. That moment, playing Peter Pan in front of a small school audience, was the beginning of something big. Heath discovered something inside himself. He was born to perform. By his teenage years, Heath was fully into drama, art, and performance. He joined Guildford Grammar School, a prestigious boys' school in Perth, where he acted in plays and won awards. His teachers said he was gifted, but different. Heath didn't care about popularity. He didn't chase parties. He chased emotions, truth, meaning. But while his heart was in acting, his country had no real film industry. He knew, if I want to act, I have to leave everything. So, at just 17 years old, Heath dropped out of school. He and his best friend Trevor DiCarlo packed their car and drove across the entire country to Sydney looking for acting jobs. They had no money, no agent, no plan, just passion. Heath did small jobs to survive, waited tables, worked in restaurants. At night, he studied acting by himself. He watched movies, he practiced accents, he read books. He was training not just to act, but to become his characters. Soon, small roles started coming in. In 1992, he got a role in a children's TV show called Clowning Around. Then Shipped Ashore in 1993. Then Sweat in 1996. where he played a gay cyclist, a bold role for that time. Heath was not afraid of difficult roles. He didn't care about playing safe. He wanted to challenge himself, even if it meant rejection. In 1997, Heath got a lead role in an American TV series called Roar, where he played a Celtic prince. The show wasn't a hit, but people noticed something. Heath had fire in his eyes. He had talent that didn't need words. Hollywood had found something rare. In 1999, his life changed forever. Heath was cast in a teenage romantic comedy called 10 Things I Hate About You. He played Patrick Verona, a mysterious, charming outsider. The film was a big success. Girls around the world fell in love with him. Hollywood called him the next big star. But Heath hated it. He didn't want to be a heartthrob. He didn't want to be a poster boy. He wanted to be an artist. He rejected dozens of scripts. He said no to money, fame, and comfort because he didn't want to be a product. I don't want to be the next big thing. I want to be the real thing. That decision would lead him to a darker path, one of genius, pain, and pressure. Part 2. Fame, Love, and the Fight to Be Free. After 10 Things I Hate About You made Heath Ledger a star in 1999, Hollywood wanted to give him everything. Big roles, big money, big attention. But Heath didn't want everything. He wanted truth. He said no to many films that would have made him richer and more famous because they didn't feel real to him. He didn't want to play safe, perfect characters. He wanted to play people who were broken, flawed, human. But even as he tried to stay true to himself, the pressure of fame began to follow him everywhere. In 2000, Heath starred with Mel Gibson in The Patriot, a huge American war film. He played Gabriel Martin, a brave young soldier. It was his first blockbuster, full of action, drama, and emotion. The film was a box office success. Heath was now not just a teen idol. He was a respected actor. But with success came more pressure. Heath later said, "I felt like I had to keep proving myself. I didn't want to lose control of my own story." In 2001, Heath played the lead role in A Knight's Tale, a story about a poor man pretending to be a knight. It was full of humor, music, and action. The film became a huge global hit. People loved it. Heath was now famous in every country. But fame was never his goal. And now, the camera followed him everywhere. In airports, on the street, at restaurants. He couldn't escape, and the attention started to suffocate him. "It was scary," he said. "I became something I didn't understand." Heath moved from Australia to Los Angeles. He bought a home, got richer, got more famous. But inside, he was still searching for something real. In 2004, while working on the film Brokeback Mountain, Heath met Michelle Williams, a talented actress with a quiet soul. They connected deeply. Michelle was different from the Hollywood crowd. She was gentle, thoughtful, and artistic, just like Heath. They fell in love fast. Very fast. In 2005, just 1 year later, their daughter Matilda was born. Heath became a father, and he loved it more than anything else in the world. He once said, "Matilda is the best thing that ever happened to me. She gives me peace." But even with love and family, things weren't easy. Heath's mind was always full of emotion, questions, and anxiety. And now, the demands of Hollywood, fatherhood, and fame were all pulling him in different directions. In 2005, Heath starred as Ennis Del Mar in Brokeback Mountain, a heartbreaking love story between two men in 1960s America. The role was risky. It was emotional, and it required complete honesty. Heath gave everything to this role. He changed his voice, his body, his energy. He held his emotions so tightly that every small expression on screen spoke 1,000 words. The performance was unbelievable. Audiences were shocked. Critics cried. Heath received an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. But behind the scenes, Heath was exhausted. He had poured his soul into the role. And now the attention was bigger than ever. The media followed his every move. People judged his personal life. Paparazzi attacked him and Michelle. Their relationship started to crack. In 2007, Heath and Michelle broke up. He moved out. She kept their daughter. The man who had everything suddenly had nothing. After the breakup, Heath moved to New York City. He started living alone. He was hurt, sad, and deeply lost. He tried to stay focused. He took new film roles, but his eyes had changed. They looked tired, lonely. People close to him said Heath had trouble sleeping. He began using sleeping pills and prescribed medications to rest. Some nights, he didn't sleep at all. Other nights, he mixed pills and alcohol. Not to get high, but just to turn off his mind. Heath once said, "My mind never stops. I can't shut it off. I just want peace." But peace was getting harder and harder to find. In 2007, Heath played one of the versions of Bob Dylan in the film I'm Not There. The film had 6 actors playing different versions of Dylan's identity. Heath's part was dark and emotional. A man going through a failed relationship and emotional crisis. It felt too real. And maybe that's because it was real. Heath was going through the same pain in his own life. He couldn't separate acting from reality anymore. His roles were hurting him and healing him at the same time. Then came the role that would make him immortal. Christopher Nolan, the director of The Dark Knight, wanted Heath to play the Joker. At first, people were confused. Heath, the shy, sensitive boy from Australia, playing the world's most terrifying villain? But Nolan believed in him, and Heath took it seriously, more seriously than any role before. He locked himself in a hotel room for 6 weeks. He wrote in a journal every day, in the voice of the Joker. He studied psychopaths, watched documentaries, designed his own makeup and laugh. He wanted to become completely lost inside the Joker's mind. And he did. "I slept maybe 2 hours a night," he said during the filming. "My body was tired, but my mind was racing." Even when the camera stopped, the Joker didn't leave him. The pain, the voice, the madness. It stayed. Heath gave a performance so powerful, so terrifying, so perfect, that even the actors on set were shocked. He didn't play the Joker. He became the Joker. But inside, he was getting weaker. He was emotionally drained. He was still taking pills to sleep. He was living in a storm. And no one knew how bad it really was. Part 3. The final days, the shocking death, and the legend that never died. By the end of 2007, Heath Ledger had finished filming his greatest performance, the Joker in The Dark Knight. Everyone on the set said the same thing. "We've never seen acting like this before." Heath gave more than 100%. He became the character. But when filming ended, Heath couldn't return to normal life. The Joker had changed him. Heath said the role had opened up something dark inside him. He was sleeping only 2 hours a night. He had trouble relaxing. He felt tired all the time. Not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. He started taking prescription pills to help with anxiety, pain, and sleep. These included Ambien for sleep, Xanax for anxiety, Valium, and painkillers like oxycodone and hydrocodone. But he was not partying. Heath was not a drug addict. He was a man trying to calm his mind, a man who had given everything to his work and now felt completely empty. In early January 2008, Heath was living in a rented apartment in the Soho neighborhood of New York City. It was cold. He was often alone. He was filming a new movie called The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, directed by Terry Gilliam. He had just come back from London after intense filming in terrible weather. He had a chest infection. He was coughing a lot and feeling sick. He told people he was feeling off. His friends said he looked pale and very tired. Still, he was trying to be okay. He spent time with his daughter Matilda whenever he could. He still loved Michelle Williams deeply, even though they were no longer together. But something felt strange. He seemed like he was carrying a heavy, invisible weight, one that no one else could lift. On the afternoon of January 22, 2008, Heath was staying in his Soho apartment. His housekeeper and massage therapist arrived around 12:30 p.m. for an appointment. At first, they thought he was just sleeping. They called out to him. No response. They tried to wake him up. No movement. Suddenly, they realized something was wrong. They called emergency services, but it was too late. At 3:36 p.m., Heath Ledger was pronounced dead at the age of just 28 years old. The news spread like wildfire. Nobody could believe it. Heath Ledger, the young genius, the man who just played the Joker, gone. The entire world went silent. Fans, filmmakers, and even those who had never seen his films felt a sudden deep sadness. What really happened? After an investigation, the medical examiner released the official cause of death. It was acute intoxication due to the combination of 6 different prescription medications: painkillers, sleeping pills, anti-anxiety pills, all taken together. It was not suicide. There was no alcohol in his system. There was no illegal drug. It was an accidental overdose. Heath had mixed too many strong medicines, trying to rest his body and calm his mind. That night, the world lost not just an actor, but a beautiful soul. The film industry was shocked. Hollywood, Australia, fans, and even strangers couldn't stop crying. Michelle Williams, the mother of his daughter, released a short but heartbreaking statement. Heath was a beautiful person, full of joy, energy, and love. Matilda will hold his spirit inside her forever. Christopher Nolan, the director of The Dark Knight, said, "Heath was the most dedicated actor I've ever worked with. He created something unforgettable, and he gave everything to do it." Thousands of fans gathered outside his home. They left flowers, candles, photos, and notes. Across the world, in Australia, people were crying in the streets. Even though Heath never got to see the final version of The Dark Knight, the world did, and it changed cinema forever. When the film was released in July 2008, just 6 months after his death, it was clear. Heath Ledger's Joker was not just good, it was legendary. His performance was scary, intelligent, mysterious, and unforgettable. People said, "This is the best Joker ever. This is one of the greatest acting performances in film history." Heath gave his life to this role, and it shows. The film broke box office records. Critics gave standing ovations, and Heath became a symbol of artistic truth. In February 2009, at the 81st Academy Awards, Heath Ledger was awarded the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role as the Joker. It was one of the most emotional moments in Oscar history. His family, his father, mother, and sister, came on stage to accept the award on his behalf. His mother said, "This award tonight would have brought Heath great pride. But nothing would have made him prouder than being a loving father to Matilda." The entire room was silent. Many actors had tears in their eyes. It was the first time in over 30 years that an Oscar was given posthumously after death to an actor. Heath had become a legend, not because of the award, but because of the honesty and bravery he brought to every role. Today, Heath's daughter Matilda Rose Ledger, born in 2005, is a teenager. She was only 2 years old when her father died. But people say she looks like him. She has his smile, his walk, and his spirit. Michelle Williams has raised Matilda with love and care, always protecting her from media. Heath's family also set up a scholarship fund and charity work in his name. So his legacy helps young actors and artists chase their dreams. Heath Ledger's story is not just a story about an actor. It's a story about a dreamer, a boy who didn't fit in, a young man who felt everything deeply, and an artist who gave everything, even his life, to his art. He taught us that greatness often comes with pain, that true artists don't chase fame, they chase truth, and that some stars burn so bright they cannot last forever, but their light never fades. When The Dark Knight was released, the world finally saw what Heath had left behind. And it wasn't just a film, it was a masterpiece. And his performance as the Joker wasn't just acting, it was transformation. Heath's Joker became more than a villain. It became a cultural icon. Posters of him with the words, "Why so serious?" were everywhere. People dressed as him for Halloween. His laugh, his voice, his walk became unforgettable. But people weren't just celebrating the performance. They were honoring the man behind it. Because once the applause faded, something deeper remained. A sense of loss. A feeling that the world had lost someone rare. Before Heath, villains in superhero films were fun, dramatic, and often cartoon-like. But Heath's Joker was real. He was chaotic, intelligent, scary, funny, and deeply, disturbingly human. Heath didn't act the Joker. He became him. Directors, actors, and even psychologists studied Heath's performance. They asked, how did he go so deep? How did he create something so original? After The Dark Knight, the standard for acting in superhero films completely changed. Actors like Joaquin Phoenix, who later won an Oscar for Joker, 2019, openly said they were inspired by Heath. Heath raised the level. Forever. In 2017, a full-length documentary called I Am Heath Ledger was released. It gave the world something beautiful. A look at the real Heath behind the characters. The film included never-before-seen home videos that Heath shot himself, interviews with his family and friends, stories from directors and co-stars, childhood memories, dreams, struggles, and laughter. It showed that Heath was more than an actor. He was a poet, a painter, a photographer, a chess player, a skateboarder, and a deeply emotional human being. He carried a camera everywhere. He made small films of his friends. He recorded his travels. He was always creating, even when no one was watching. One of his friends said in the documentary, "He wasn't trying to impress the world. He was just trying to express his soul. And that's why the world loved him." When Heath died, he was in the middle of filming a movie called The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. The director, Terry Gilliam, was heartbroken. The film was incomplete. Half the scenes with Heath were unfinished, but something beautiful happened. 3 of Heath's close friends, Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell, came forward. They said, "We'll finish the film for Heath. No payment, just love." They each played different versions of Heath's character at the magical world of the film. And all the money they earned went to Matilda, Heath's daughter. The film was released in 2009. It was not a blockbuster, but it was a tribute. A final goodbye from friends who loved him. Many celebrities spoke about Heath in interviews years after his death. Jake Gyllenhaal, his co-star in Brokeback Mountain, said, "I wish he was still here. He was one of the most special people I've ever met." Christian Bale, who played Batman opposite Heath's Joker, said, "Heath gave me the most intense scenes I've ever done. He gave everything." Anne Hathaway, who worked with Heath on Brokeback Mountain, shared, "Heath was kind, funny, and full of life. You couldn't help but love him. His Joker is still considered the greatest villain performance in cinema history. He's ranked in lists like top 10 actors of all time and greatest performances ever. Film schools around the world use his scenes as examples of masterful acting. His Oscar stands as a symbol, not just of talent, but of sacrifice. His daughter Matilda is now a teenager. She is loved and protected, and many say she carries Heath's spirit inside her." Fans from all over the world still visit Heath's grave in Perth, Australia. They leave flowers, letters, and thank you notes. Why? Because Heath wasn't just an actor. He was a mirror, showing us our fears, our pain, our beauty, and our madness. He taught us how to feel, and how to never fake anything, not in life, not in art. Heath Ledger left this world at the age of 28. He didn't get to see his daughter grow up. He didn't hear the applause for the Joker. He didn't hold the Oscar in his hands. But still, he became immortal. Not because of how long he lived, but how deeply he lived. He gave everything he had, to every role, every scene, every emotion, even when the world didn't understand him, even when the pressure became unbearable, even when he was exhausted and empty, he still gave. Heath made mistakes. He was quiet when he should have spoken. He isolated himself when he needed help. He took pills to sleep. He worked too hard. He trusted too deeply. But that's exactly what made him human. He wasn't a Hollywood product. He wasn't trying to be famous. He was trying to understand life through art, through emotion, through truth. And in that process, he created something that no actor, no movie, no performance will ever replace. Heath Ledger was not just an actor. He was a director. He was preparing his first film. A poet. He wrote in journals every day. A musician. He played instruments and directed music videos. A photographer. He took hundreds of photos no one has ever seen. A chess master. He almost became a professional player. He wasn't chasing attention. He was chasing expression. He once said, "I'm not good at relaxing. I can't sit still. There's always something in my head, and I want to put it out into the world." That's what real artists do. They feel pain and turn it into beauty. They feel joy and turn it into connection. They feel fear and turn it into bravery. One of the most powerful parts of Heath's story is what he didn't say. He never shouted about his anxiety. He never told the world about his sleepless nights. He never asked for pity. But the signs were always there. And today, we must learn from them. Mental health is real. Even the brightest minds can suffer. Even the most talented people can feel broken inside. Fame doesn't protect you. Money doesn't heal you. Success doesn't make the pain go away. That's why talking is important. That's why asking for help is not weakness. It's strength. Heath's story reminds us, if you are struggling, don't stay silent. If you're feeling lost, don't isolate yourself. If your heart is heavy, speak. Cry, reach out. Let's end with the most powerful lessons from Heath's short but beautiful life. Lessons that can change how we live, how we think, and how we speak to ourselves. 1. Give your whole heart, or nothing. Heath never gave half performances. Whether he was acting, skateboarding, playing chess, or being a father, he gave his all. If you love something, give it everything. Don't hold back. 2. Choose meaning over fame. Heath rejected many films that would have made him richer or more famous. He chose roles that challenged him, not ones that just made him comfortable. Don't do what looks good. Do what feels real. 3. Protect your peace. Heath was surrounded by noise, fame, cameras, pressure. But he always searched for peace through art, quiet, and nature. Protect your mental space. Disconnect when needed. 4. Your pain can be your power. The roles that made Heath famous, the Joker, Ennis in Brokeback Mountain, were full of pain. But that pain made his art unforgettable. Your struggles can become your story. Your wounds can become someone else's healing. 5. Leave something behind that matters. Heath didn't live for money or awards. He lived to create, to inspire, and he left behind a legacy that helps people till this day. What you create with honesty lives forever. You've just listened to the full story of Heath Ledger. You laughed, you cried, you felt inspired, you learned about life, and maybe about yourself. But now ask yourself, what are you doing with your life? Are you hiding your talent? Are you afraid to follow your dream? Are you too worried about what others will say? Let Heath's story speak to you now, not as a fan, but as a human being. You have one life. Don't waste it trying to be perfect. Don't wait for permission. Don't leave your dreams unfinished. Heath didn't live long, but he lived full. He didn't chase fame, but he found greatness. He didn't fake emotions. He embraced them, and you can too. And as you followed this journey, you were also improving your English. You learned real vocabulary. You understood real emotions. You listened to natural storytelling. That's how English becomes your language, not through boring textbooks, but through powerful stories like this one. So keep going, watch again, learn again, and remember, the more you feel, the more you understand. Heath Ledger is gone, but his voice, his eyes, his performances, they're still here, and they will be, forever. So, to Heath, we say, thank you for giving us your soul, thank you for showing us truth, and thank you for reminding us that being real is more important than being perfect. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. You were too good for this world, and you'll never be forgotten. Dear viewer, if this story touched your heart, if you learned something new, if you feel changed, even just a little, then please, share it. Leave a comment, subscribe for more powerful stories, and keep improving your English, because you're becoming stronger every day. We'll meet again in the next story. Until then, live boldly and speak